drama have any great moments at the theater this time around? Well, we sure did at Peter Sin Nach Tribe's The Making of a Great Moment, which is a love letter to the endurance of being an actor. Terry and Mona are traversing on bicycles across Canada and the United States in the Victoria Canada Bicycle Theatre Company's The Making of a Great Moment, where they recount in seconds all the important historical highlights that you might not know about. Some of the venues are lacking in essentials like more than one light that may or may not work. They perform in community centers, old age homes, schools, churches. Where there is any semblance of a stage, they are there. After performing in 407 productions, Terry is ready to give up. Mona finds this unthinkable. Think of all the people they uplift and make lives better with theater. With all the adversities, blown tires, blown minds, catch up with them. Can an actor ever really give up the need to perform no matter what? Will they ever make the ultimate achievement of playing in the Toronto Playhouse? I absolutely love this. When they performed scenes from the play, The Making of a Great Moment, I was so impressed by the way they choreographed their human sound effects with the action and the silly props. Bill Bowers and Esther Williamson had this great chemistry that actors in shows usually get as they bond over a play and being in such close quarters. They only have each other to rely on. Their timing was impeccable. In between the laughs, there were real emotions that gave depth to the comedic situation. This play was more than a great moment. Major happy face. Eliana Pipe Bite Me is about high school outcasts finding each other, which helps them find themselves. Melody is hiding out in a supply closet to eat her lunch and escape the mean girls. Nathan is surprised to find Melody in his inner sanctum, where he stashes stolen items from people he dislikes. Melody is the only Black girl in a snooty rich person's school, which her mom, at great sacrifice, enrolled her in to give her a better chance at a good college and even better life because she is very smart. Turns out she knows Nathan as she does his homework for him for a fee. An unlikely friendship develops among them over shared misfit status. Will they find mutual understanding or are they lost causes? The acting was so believable and superb. Malika Samuel was immediately appealing as her self-doubt made you want to comfort her and tell her that she was better than anyone in her school. David Gerlich had that bad boy charm, and there was this major chemistry between them. Maybe he will be the one to see her for the special person that she is. Eliana Pipes has written a delicate, sensitive play with such an inspiring ending. Rebecca Martinez directed this with finesse, getting to the heart of high school angst. Amusing sidebar. Before the play started, I was surprised how similar Chika Shimizu's set was to the previous production of Taurus, and a couple of other audience members felt the same way. Also, that the set and the play were better this time around. This gets a happy face plus.
Emerging Artists Theater is presenting 3 plays in repertoire. I saw Sex Work, Sex Play and reviewed it on our last show. Today I'm going to review Doris Day, My Secret Love, and Eva will review, I think, is it Being and Frank?
And Being Frank.
And Being Frank. They're all interesting titles. So Doris Day, My Secret Love, written by Paul Adams, directed by Melissa Atterbury, is presented as a retrospective of Doris's work late in her life, with the proceeds going to her animal sanctuary project. She's accompanied on the piano by Les Brown, the band leader who helped launch her career and was a good friend for many years. She sings 14 songs and tells many anecdotes about her career and her life. I knew that Doris's life was not all sunshine and smiles, but this show reveals the many tragedies and low points in her life. Details such as her father's leaving the family when she was 13 and the train accident that ended the possibility of a dancing career when she was 15. We also learn of the many losses of loved ones and how she soldiered on through them. The problems of her 4 marriages are explored. We hear of happy moments when shooting films with her favorite co-star Rock Hudson, and the frustrations of working with Hitchcock. For me, this was an enjoyable indulgence in nostalgia. As a kid in the 60s, I saw many of her films in my local movie theater. I also saw many others on TV, many of them premiering on TV for the first time, and that was a big event. I loved many of her songs, notably Sentimental Journey, Secret Love, Que Sera Sera, and Pillow Talk. Miss Borelli, who plays Doris, sports a very Doris-like wig and a button-down orange blouse and slim patterned, I think they're capri or at least some kind of short above the ankle pants. Her voice is adequate, but lacks the distinctive qualities of Doris Day. Miss Borelli's strong suit is her acting chops. She shines in the scenes with her son Terry, with her friend Rock Hudson, and with her father. All the male characters are played by David Beck, a talented and quite versatile performer. For older folks like myself, this is a very satisfying time with Doris. I'm not sure if younger people know or care about Doris Day. Still, I would recommend it as a lesson in the golden years of Hollywood, especially musicals. I gave it a happy face minus.
Ron Alicia's And Being Frank is part of the Emerging Artist Theater rep with Doris Day and Sex Work, Sex Play, like we just said. In the opening fantasy, Anne Frank is a young 20-something woman, stylishly dressed and trying to publish a more accurate account of herself than the diary showed. But the truth of the matter soon unfolds about her hiding and capture. The concentration camp scenes are vividly told and in stark contrast to the prison of hiding. At least while hiding there, it's still a semblance of normalcy and choice, even a chance to fall in love. Alexis Fishman is a remarkable actor. Her accent as Anne was impeccable, while her accent of the cigar-chomping publisher is loud New Yorker at its best. You may think you know Anne from her diary and the many portrayals of her life and death, but here it is even more poignant as you get a glimpse of what might have been if her and all the other people who were senselessly slaughtered had a chance to live. Major happy face with many tears. Rebecca Gilman's swing state is filled with despondent people and consequential actions. The title is misleading, and there is nothing political about this play. Peg just lost her husband, the love of her life. She exhibits suicidal undertones. A troubled neighborhood young man, Ryan, who hangs out with her after work, is concerned after she brings up her will. They have a very special bond, and they both need each other to survive what life throws at them. Peg wants to make sure that her prairie land is taken care of, and Sheriff Chris doesn't get her hands on it. Danny, a deputy, has a real empathy for her job and is getting over a bad marriage. All these people come together over a fraught situation. Sheriff Chris has it in for Ryan after an incident from his past. Peg does her best to protect Ryan from her. Danny just wants to be good at her job with no hidden agendas like the sheriff has. Rebecca Gilman has written a well-thought-out drama with a nice build and time to get to know and care for the characters. It helps that the cast is so exceptional. I saw it during that FEMA alert, and not everyone was able to silence their Apple Watches that they didn't know how to. The actors, without missing a beat, soldiered on through alarms and hearing aid whistles. Robert Falls is a wonderful director who knows how to bring out all the nuances in a scene. This is a play that will linger with you for a long time. Happy Face Plus.
Bettinger's Luggage is written by Albert M. Tapper based on a true story, directed by Stephen Dittmeyer, and it takes place in 1974 on the small piece of Delancey Street where the shop Bettinger's Luggage is flanked by Moe's Restaurant and O'Brien's Luggage. The main character is the proprietor, Lou, who doesn't want his son, George, to be a comic. He wants George to take over the business, but George wants to be a comic. And it parallels what happened in Lou's experience. He wanted to be a veterinarian, but his father wouldn't give him the second choice to do it, and he was forced to take over the store. The one who wants to take over the store is the Puerto Rican store clerk, Angel, who's really wonderful at selling luggage and has his own ideas for the future. Unfortunately, Angel is in love with Lydia, who's married to an absolute brute. There's also this sister, Lou's older sister, Bessie, who has been working in the store forever and seems to smooth out family problems. Every little bit of this is really cliched, but you do get a feeling for the whole life of the city outside and surrounding this little piece of Delancey Street. I thought the performers were all very good, but the overly familiar stories were a bit tiresome, so I gave it mixed faces.
Yeah, you think the dad would have learned from his own life. I mean, this is a reluctant legacy. There's a lot of baggage in this family. So will George break the mold and get to be the comic that he desperately wants to be? Also, there's a little love interest for him too with Lisa Donatelli, whose father has a bakery shop. And we get flashbacks from the past. So we actually see his father and Lou's father and him arguing. And then there's Heshy, who's also a colorful character in the neighborhood. And I was impressed with William Olsen's set. I mean, how he conveyed an entire neighborhood on a tiny set was quite remarkable. And while this was a heartfelt family drama, it was nice to see a play about the Lower East Side. One passes by businesses all the time and one never knows the backstories. Bettinger's Luggage is actually still going strong, so we know at least partly that there is a real life happy ending. So I'm like kind of with Mark giving this like a mixed face plus happy face minus because the performers were very good. Jocelyn Bio's Jaja's African Hair Braid is a female and far more fascinating side of the Black barbershop story. In the skillful hands of this microcosm of West African immigrant hair braiders, we see grumpy, frumpy women magically transformed into butterflies. It is pre-COVID 2019. Marie, Jaja's daughter, is having a very bad day. Her mother is marrying a no-good white guy, hoping to get the proper papers to safely stay. She wants Marie to be a doctor, but she wants to be a writer. Bea and Aminata are gossipy friends. Aminata hopes to hit it big with scratch-offs. Bea just likes to complain and cause trouble. She especially has it in for Ndidi, who lost her own shop in a fire, and Jaja very kindly let her set up in her shop temporarily. Ndidi is bubbly and nimble, and all of Bea's regulars prefer her. Miriam is young and hopeful about reconnecting with a former love, Musa. We get an idea of the intricacies of hair braiding when Jennifer comes in for a microcosm braiding, which is an all-day event. The day is broken up with various vendors coming in hawking their wares. This is a rich tapestry of hardworking women trying to live their own particular dreams while turning these everyday customers into princesses. Nikia Mathis did a tremendous job of showing the progression of wigs from start to finish with her wig and hair designs. You will never look at braids the same way again or what lies hidden underneath that person's hair. Happy face. Here we are with
Kristyn Koczur.
And you've written a play called
Of the dream that was my life.
which is about.
Sculptress Camille Claudel.
And who is she?
She was a female artist who lived in Paris in the late 1800s, a contemporary of Rodin. She was the muse and mistress of Rodin, and their relationship is a bit blurred. In those days, it was common for a master to take on an apprentice and for the master to actually sign his name to the apprentice's work. And he started as Camille's mentor and instructor, and they fell in love. Although he had a relationship, he lived with a woman for many, many years. They had a child together, and he was not willing to leave that relationship. Relationship with Camille was kind of clandestine and became very scandalous, not for Rodin, but for Camille. It alienated her family from her because it was shocking how she carried on. She did not respect boundaries, personally or professionally. And I really admire that about her because she knew who she was. She knew what she had to offer, and she would let nothing stand in her way. And it was not acceptable for a woman to achieve status as an artist in that time, in that era. So she was a pioneer, and I'm very thrilled to be telling her story. When I first learned about her, I couldn't stop reading about her. The more I learned, the more I wanted to learn. She just intrigued me so much. As a child, she was very precocious, and she knew that she had something that very few people had. She had something to offer the world, and she was determined to do that. And she pursued that dream her entire life. But there was a lot of controversy and a lot of barriers that she had to overcome. And eventually, because she was an embarrassment and scandalous to her family, they had her imprisoned in an insane asylum for the last 30 years of her life. And that was the part that inspired me the most, because during her time there, she never lost hope. She never created anything after she was incarcerated, but she believed that she was going to get out, that she was going to go home, and she never lost the will to live. And I had to find out for myself how somebody has their reason for being alive taken away from them, and they still want to wake up in the morning. I was, so inspired by this courageous woman that I wanted to share her story. And it's been really exciting working on this play, which I have been working on and off for about 6 years. During that time, I went to Paris and I walked in her footsteps. I saw where she lived and where she worked and studied, and it's been an adventure, a journey, and I want to share it.
Where was Rodin during all this? So he was supposedly in love with her, and he was the mentor and everything. Why didn't he try and rescue her from the prison or insane asylum? Wasn't there someone to advocate for her?
Not really. Her family had the authority to keep her there. Her brother, who was the man of the family, her father passed away shortly before she was put in the insane asylum. And so it was much more convenient for them to keep her out of sight and, out of harm's way, out of their harm's way. And Rodin was more or less celebrated. He was enjoying his status and reputation. And on the side, he tried to help her a little bit, contributed some money, I believe, to her to make her a little bit more comfortable. I don't think she ever knew that. She believed that Rodin was responsible for her incarceration. She became very paranoid because she believed that he was actually stealing her work. And this became an obsession of hers, and it became one of the reasons that her family was able to put her away, because of her paranoia. So they convinced the psychiatrist that she should not be walking around. And the psychiatrist just kindly, agreed, that was his job. And there she was. It was just very easy to do in that time, in that day.
How'd you find out about her in the first place?
A voice teacher that I had gave me a song from Camille Claudel, the musical. And I had heard of her, and I wanted to get some background and find out who she was. And as I began to research her life, I just became fascinated by this woman and about her enormous talent, first of all. And I was so inspired by this woman, and I wanted to share her story. And I hope that it will inspire other people as well. I mean, that's my goal as an actor, is to find what brings human beings together and what makes them unique. And this particular story, I think it can inspire so many people who have their own struggles and their own challenges, and they just want to give up sometimes. I know I do. And there's a light at the end of the tunnel when you see that you can learn from somebody else who had so much courage and audacity and was such a wonderful example. And also, I think I wrote this because I really, really wanted to play the role of Camille Claudel. I wanted to step into her shoes. I wanted to understand from a very personal point of view how she coped with this and how I can cope with what, struggles I have. They're nothing compared to what she went through.
Tell us a little bit about yourself now. I mean, we heard all about, but what about you?
I am originally from Chicago. I've been in New York for a long, long time. I moved here in the 70s, basically to pursue musical theater. I had gone to college for 2 years and decided after my second year that I was born to be a ballerina. So I went back to study ballet for a few years. And then I got to a point where I was so dedicated to doing this. This is my inspiration. And I went to my teacher, who I adored, and asked him how I could improve faster. And he said, well, you'll never be a dancer. And I was just so devastated. And I said, well, what about musical theater? And he said, oh, yeah, you'd be great in musical theater, but there is no more musical theater. And so I decided that I hadn't been there long enough. And I went off to summer stock, and I met some people who had already moved to New York, and decided that was where I belonged, because I was not going to let this person tell me what my future was and what it wasn't. So I just kind of feel like I sold out everything that I had wanted to do. And so I was married, I had a child, and then it didn't work out, of course. It wasn't meant to work out. So I married someone else who was in the acting field, and that didn't work out either, but I had twins with this gentleman. So there I was, a single parent with 3 young kids.
I'm a single mom with 1 kid, and that's enough for me. Thank you very much.
So,
well, congratulations. And it's going on. It opens October 21st, which the show is going on right now. So it's opening tonight. And it's going on for how long?
It closes on the 28th. It's a short run.
Oh, it's such a short run. Darn it.
Who knows? Maybe it'll be picked up and we'll do it again.
Oh, I hope so. Fingers crossed. I went to see Edgar Oliver's Riptide at the Axis Theater Company, that is directed by Randall Sharp. And the music, which was so haunting, was composed by Paul Carbonara. And there was an actual band. There was a strings, and it was just, this play hit close to home for me, because Edgar, he always talks about the Lower East Side and not growing up, but living here, from Savannah, Georgia, coming to New York City, living on East 10th Street, his neighborhood and everything. But this time he talked about the Pyramid Club, which was his home away from home. And it was my home away from home. It's this club that was in the neighborhood, and he performed there. And back in the day, I performed there. So, and Brian Butterick, also known as Hattie, who died a couple years ago, and at his memorial, we stopped by the Pyramid Club and did this whole New Orleans wake sort of music band with everyone dressed colorfully on our way to La Mama. I mean, so I'm very choked up talking about this. And Edgar Oliver's style is he has these wonderful gestures that will you perform? Okay. Well, okay. It's almost like you're waiting for that. Okay. It's just beautifully done. And he talks about, being a homosexual and all that, and relationships, and being alone, and how he's not that good with relationships. And just everything resonated with me so strongly that I felt, gosh, I've known Edgar forever, but I didn't realize we had this total parallel life going on even before I even knew him. He's just such a good storyteller. And Riptide is like this poem that he read, And it was one of his first poems. His first performance was at Pyramid Club that got him started as a playwright and a poet and everything else. So it's just it's so good, so wonderful. And I just can't recommend this. This gets a beyond happy face from me and just tears of nostalgia for me also. United Solo is going on till November 19th. I went to see Kimberly Prentice in her show Unseen about the dressers backstage and all the other backstage intricacies going on to provide the audience with the best show, Unseen. And you can still see it Sunday, October 22nd at 2 p.m. at Theater Row. Other shows to see with the details on Facebook page are Lyrics and Lyricists return to 92NY with Howard Ashman, Tales as Old as Time, directed by Christian Borle. New Victory is back with The Vanishing Elephant till October 29th. Ars Nova and National Black Theater present Prey till October 28th. Yangtze Reps Salesman is based on Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman. It's going on till October 28th. And then just some sort of fun, not sort of theatrical stuff. Love Show at the Slipper Room is going on October 25th at 7. Elsa Lanchester, She's Alive, a solo biographical play written and performed by Charlotte Booker on November 3rd, until November 3rd at the Laurie Beechman Theater. And the piano man is Mark Netter from The Bicycle Men. Elfie and I, our favorite show of this, never. It'll be on our graves. We love Bicycle Men. Edward Einhorn's translation of Václav Havel's The Memo Randum will be on October 23rd at 7. Motor Company presents a limited run of River Keepers. It's a new play in a canoe. You are in a canoe on Newton Creek, and that's going on to October 29th. I mean, a play in a canoe. Resident Acting Company 12th Night is on October 25th. And meanwhile, check out La Mama here. Theater for a New City, 54 Below, Joe's Pub, 59 and 59 theaters, because there's so much going on there that I can't wait to see. And our next show is November 4th. So enjoy all the theater out there.